Today we're going to talk about living in a small Florida town of Punta Gorda and what you may love, hate, or tolerate about living there. Getting after that next. Hey everybody, my name's Cunha. I'm a real estate agent here in Southwest Florida. And if you're looking for a channel to tell you everything you want to know about living, playing, eating, sleeping, and buying real estate on the Gulf Coast, then this is the channel for you. So go ahead and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, tell me a little bit about what you may want to know more about, and hit that bell to be sure you're notified every time a new video comes out. I'm getting calls from people every single day, and I absolutely love it. They're asking me about what it's like to move here, live here, things that they can expect, things they may not expect. So if you've got a question you need an answer to, you've got to call, text, or email, because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast. Okay, so living in a small Florida town. Punta Gorda is relatively small. It's 22 square miles, 21,000 people. It's situated right between Fort Myers and I'm going to say Sarasota because there's a couple other small towns on the way to Sarasota. Port Charlotte is just to the north across the bridge of Punta Gorda. There are more offerings in that area as far as shopping and restaurants if you don't happen to have enough in Punta Gorda. This area is a small historic town. There is beautiful architecture all over the downtown areas. There's a lot more businesses there than I expected, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our time there. We spent a weekend there this past week just trying to check things out, get a little more familiar with the area and acquainted with what the people love about being in the area. And I'm going to interject some feedback from some of my clients. They're renting up in the area right now while they're in search of their home. So Zach and Joanna, I'm going to take your suggestions and we're going to share it with everybody so you'll know a little bit more about what to expect if you're considering living in Punta Gorda, Florida. Now, not surprisingly, the real estate market is pretty hot in Punta Gorda too. Problem is, being a smaller town, you don't have as many choices. The other thing we're noticing a lot about when we're going out and looking at these homes, you know, Zach pointed out, hey man, there's small homes that are older that are mixed in with some of these bigger, newer homes. Yeah, that's kind of what you get. Most of these neighborhoods are going to be very mixed. So one of the most desired areas, it's referred to as PGI by the locals, it's Punta Gorda Isles. This place is probably some of the most pristine looking subdivisions you're going to find all throughout Punta Gorda. And it'll even rival some of the other subdivisions you'll see in some surrounding cities. Very nice area, very well manicured. It's not gated. It is deed restricted, so you will have some rules about things you can and can't do. If you like electric blue or fuchsia colored homes, this isn't the place you're going to do that. And you're going to keep things well manicured. You're going to keep the landscaping nice and trimmed up and tidy. But you know what? You're probably going to do it just out of respect for your neighbors because they all do it too. It is a really nice place, very nice appearance, quiet, kind of laid back for the most part. You know, the median age is said to be in the upper 60s in this area, but funny enough, when we were out and about in the town, we noticed that there were many young couples there too. So there is a pretty good mix of people in the age ranges that you'll find all the way down to children, although you're not going to see as many signs of kids throughout the area outside of maybe one place. Gilchrist Park, there is a playground there. You will see kids playing there. Heck, my son's played there numerous times himself. So there are areas for kids. It's just not a thriving young family kind of community. So if that's something you're searching for, you may want to look a little bit deeper at that to see how it fits you. Now we're going to talk a little bit about that real estate we touched base on. The median price right now is said to be right around $225,000. Now median is not average. Okay, so we take the very lowest all the way up to the very highest, and this kind of settles in the middle. Now, there are trailer parks in the area too, so that's obviously going to bring prices down. There's also Gulf access properties in the area, that's going to take it up. So it's not a bad price, but if we're speaking directly to waterfront properties, the median price of that has gone up $100,000 just over the last year. And for a small town like this, that's a pretty big jump. In fact, right now, we're looking for a Gulf access property for Zach and Joanna, and it is very difficult. We are looking for a little bit more space, just over 2,000 square feet, so that does present a new challenge. Many of the properties that are offered in this area are smaller square footages. That's kind of the way things started here. Just get a nice small home on the water, makes it more affordable. Well, those small homes still exist. So we have to look past those to some of the bigger versions. And once you get into bigger square footage, you get into higher prices and less offerings. So that's the struggle you will find. Again, it is a great waterfront community. If you're looking for a boating lifestyle, if you're looking for a waterfront place where you can go fishing and kayaking and paddleboarding, this is another place that I would say is the next best to Cape Coral. I mean, Cape Coral is still hands down the best waterfront place pretty much. I'm going to say in Florida, definitely. In the world, pretty close because of all the canal systems. I mean, we're talking 400 miles of canals down there. So Punta Gorda gives you a nice second offering, and I love that it just comes right out into Charlotte Harbor. Charlotte Harbor is a nice big piece of water. It's an area that is large enough that you can tool around on your boat without ever having to feel like you need to get out to the Gulf because it's that big. So if you're a boater and you want something on a scale that's a little bit smaller, a little bit more personal, then Punta Gorda might be for you. Now, one thing you will notice in Punta Gorda is not only are there a lot more offerings for food and for shopping than what might have been thought, there's a lot of historical stuff still in the area, a lot of museums and things to visit. That's not my bag. That's not the way I do things. But if you're somebody that likes history and likes to find out more about an area and what happened in that area, there's a lot of history in Punta Gorda. And in fact, we stopped at this one place. It's the Ice House Bar. This place was really cool. It used to be where they would keep the ice for when the fish come in off the boats. Well, this was converted into a bar, a pub. So you walk in the front doors, you kind of see this open air, fans twisting and turning. There's a bar off to the side, and you're thinking, where's the rest of it? So you keep walking in, and the door slides open, and now you're in an old English style pub. It was super cool. It even was a little bit darker inside, soaring ceilings, and then you turn around, and there's 8 dartboard alleys that you can just walk up to, start a game of cricket. We spent about an hour there playing and having a couple of the local brews, but it's a nice laid-back ambiance. If you're looking for that kind of thing, there are a couple of these places that are scattered throughout the town. And one of the most fun things that we experienced was being able to explore. There are so many little shops and restaurants that we just had no idea. So get out, walk the town. Marion Avenue tends to have a lot of things there. You'll walk into almost any one of these establishments and you'll see pictures of the town and the history that's behind why these people love this little town so much. Now, what's really nice about when you visit Punta Gorda, you have a number of options for where you're going to have your accommodations. We happen to stay at the Wyvern, which is right off of US 41 and Marion, and it has a rooftop bar that I am so bummed. I wanted to get up to this rooftop pool and bar, but there were storms rolling in and they shut it down before we ever had a chance. So we found ourselves running from the rain as we were going to go over to TT's. TT's is a great tiki bar restaurant that sits right on the harbor. You'll see a bunch of colorful Adirondack chairs set up for sunset, and everybody just kind of lounges back there. Saturday nights, they usually have a band up on the stage. A lot of activity going on there. A couple sand volleyball courts, usually live music no matter when you roll up there. But because the storm was rolling in, we had to seek cover over at the Lashley Crab House. This was another interesting experience. Just seeing all the sculpted wood and stuff inside this place. Again, nicely laid out place, good outdoor space. And then when the rain came, they just rolled down their storm protection and it pretty much kept the water out until it passed. So it's a really nice place to hang out for the afternoon. And again, it overlooks a marina. In Punta Gorda, there's a number of marinas. So if you're a boater and you're not going to live on the water, you will have a couple other options. They will charge by the foot. And there are accommodations at each slip like the water and electric. So you can check each one of these marinas, compare the rates to one another, but you will have a number of options, including the Freedom Boat Club. So if you're somebody who just wants to be able to rent the boat and have kind of that built-in membership to just pay the monthly rate and take a boat whenever you schedule it, they do have the Freedom Boat Club there. So that's one of their locations, so feel free to check that out if that's your thing. One of the other things you'll notice about Punta Gorda is they love dogs. I mean, most places were dog friendly, and there was a dog shop where there's all kinds of clothing and other paraphernalia for dogs, for dog owners. You'll see the dogs walking around. You'll see them at the different parks. TT's had them there. Fisherman's Village allows them there. So these are some of the larger attraction areas, and dogs are welcome. So you don't have to leave your furry friend at home. You can take them along with you. Now, in addition to these parks that I was talking about with Gilchrist, where you can do your pickleball and tennis, and the playground that's there, there's also the Harbor Walk Trail. This trail is both for walking and for biking. It's a number of miles long. Again, as you can tell by the name, it's on the water, so great ambiance. And along this, we noticed a number of places where murals were put in. Well, there's murals all over the town. I didn't get to enough of the places to get them filmed, but you can see a couple examples here. There's some really interesting artwork that's been done, and this is just one of the other charms about Punta Gorda. Now, while there are parks and there is this kind of entertainment with the live music, there are no beaches in Punta Gorda. If you're a beach person, Punta Gorda is not for you, unless you have a boat. Because then again, you can jump in the boat, cross the harbor, now you're at the beach. But there is no beach. The closest one is about 30 to 45 minutes away in the Englewood, Venice area. And that 30 to 45, the reason why there is a disparity there is how fast do you drive? I don't know. I don't know about you. I'm going to be on the 30-minute side, but I know plenty of people that would be on the 45, maybe an hour side, especially if they drive around Punta Gorda. That's one of the things I noticed. Yes, as I just mentioned, I do like to drive maybe a little bit faster. So some of these subdivisions, communities, and even the main roads, very, very, very busy and very slow in some areas. Now, you're going to find other areas that it might move more freely. And there's a lot of one-way travel in the downtown area too, so that keeps things flowing. That does work well. But if you're somebody that has a lead foot, I'm not saying I do, but if you have a lead foot or want to go faster, you're going to have to exercise some patience, let things kind of happen. Oh, the other thing that Zach had shared with me is that turn signals aren't used up there either. Now, I've mentioned this in Cape Coral, so I guess that's pretty fair to say that all of Florida has decided they don't use turn signals. Now, if you're somebody that likes to take part in fast food, there aren't a lot of options in Punta Gorda for fast food. Of course, they're going to have the standard McDonald's, but there aren't a lot of places. If you're looking for specialty places like Arby's, and if you maybe want a Taco Bell and stuff like that, you're not going to find it. That's where you go north into Port Charlotte or south down into Cape Coral, but there's a few places. Most of them are going to be sit-down dining, like some of the places I had shared with you already. One of my absolute favorites, the Village Fish Market. This is where we went to a brunch on Sunday morning, and it was phenomenal. If you're somebody that is into Benedicts, we love Egg Benedicts. They did a lobster egg Benedict on a biscuit instead of an Egg McMuffin, and it was fantastic. There's a seafood frittata that was loaded with scallops and shrimp and spinach and lobster. Absolutely delicious. So if you're somebody that's into that kind of stuff, have at it. The other thing that Joanna had shared with me is that seafood, there's plentiful options throughout Punta Gorda. So if you're somebody that enjoys seafood, this is the place for you. So get out there, experiment, and check it all out. One of the more disappointing things I saw was at Harpoon Harry's. This place is one of the best places in Fisherman's Village because of the view. It's literally 360 degrees of water across the back, but when you walk up to the door, they're not open. They can't get staff to properly handle the flow of people. How disappointing is that? This place is decked out. You can see how many people come to this place for the entertainment value, for the dining, for the shops. And if you check out up above, that's where the suites are. So if you want to stay here, they have condos up above all of these stores that you can rent on a nightly basis. Now, one thing you'll find about Punta Gorda is transportation is not easy if you don't have a car. It's going to be a car, a bicycle, or your 2 feet. They don't have a busing system. There is a transit that works throughout Charlotte County. It's generally for people that are physically disabled, over 60 years old. There's a couple conditions that have to be met to use this service, but it is something that's done on a schedule, 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday. Saturday, I believe, is 9 to 4, and there's no Sunday. This is to get to different places you may need, like for doctor visits and for shopping, for grocery shopping, things of that sort. But it is a transit service that is run throughout the county, so they're not going to be, your personal taxi, but you could probably find an Uber or two in town if you needed it. But this is just not a public transportation kind of a town. This is where you're going to need somebody to pick you up and drop you off, or you're going to have to still be driving a car. Now, as I mentioned, that my clients that are renting up in the Punta Gorda area right now, they had noted some other things that you can't always see. So their extra time there has enabled them to see this. But service vehicles for the city and county, they will just randomly stop on the roads and kind of park with their flashers on. So you do have to pay attention to finding that kind of thing and slow down, watch the traffic around you, and be sure you safely get around these vehicles. It's just something they do. The roadways are not overly large here either. And once again, I mentioned the slow travel. So just have your head on a swivel and paying attention to that. Punta Gorda is pretty much a melting pot of people from all over the place. It is relatively seasonal because, again, it's considered more of a retirement village. You'll note that by way of what kind of businesses are there. There's mostly service businesses. So you may end up having to travel to get to a job if you choose Punta Gorda as your home base. Now, there's another thing about this, because it is considered more of a retirement village, there aren't a lot of signs of kids around. So if you have a family and you're looking for other kids in a neighborhood, that might be more of a struggle for you than you think. So keep that in mind if you're going to call Punta Gorda your home. Now, Punta Gorda is made up of a bunch of subdivisions. Most of them do not have HOAs, and most of them are not gated communities. So if you're somebody who's looking for a gated community, you might find yourself having to go all the way out to a place called Babcock National. There's actually a golf course out there along with these gates, but it's so far out that it would almost be considered Fort Myers if you look at it on the map. I don't know how it got figured into being Punta Gorda, but that's what the address says. And if you search it out, that's what it'll tell you as well. One of the last things you may notice about Punta Gorda, and this could probably be said about any small town that's kind of tight-knit, everybody knows everybody. There's only 5 schools, I think, in the whole area, and that's for every school level. So once again, this isn't set up for a younger family, but in that, the one thing you should know is people may not be completely receptive to you as a newbie. Yes, they see it just like every other city, new people coming in, taking over, creating extra traffic, extra waits at restaurants. So it may be frowned upon. Don't take offense to it. It's not you. It could just be the fact that you're another person that's adding to the population in this small, quaint, historic town. And like any other small town, they don't want it to change. They'd like to keep what they've had. So just accept that as it is. And in no time, you're not going to be a newbie anyway. You'll become one of them. Just embrace the community and get to know those around you. Well, that's a little bit more about Punta Gorda. And we're going to revisit this again. I'm going to spend more time up there. I really love this small town. It's got a lot of charm to it and a lot of things going on that could make a getaway for you more interesting. So if you'd like to know more about what it's like to live in the area within Southwest Florida, check out one of these other videos. And if you've got any specific questions for me, you've got to call, text, or email, because I've got your back when moving to the Gulf Coast.